For more on how to handle this new approach to terror threats, let's bring in former NATO Commander General Wesley Clark, along with former Department of Homeland Security official Mustafa Tameez. Gentlemen, thank you both for joining us. General Clark, how do you possibly secure roadways?
I think what you've got to do is look at incidents like this as reflective of what happens when you get a lot of people together. So, got to work in advance. Figure out where you're going to have a lot of people. That's a vulnerability. Put a plan together, then red team the plan with a group that's trying to actively figure out how to undercut your plan. And then, of course, you've got to get all your intelligence agencies to work together, cooperate, share data. There's no counterterrorism intelligence center in France, and so you've got intelligence agencies working in different stovepipes and so forth. We know we've got a lot of flaws yet internationally on this thing. Right. I think we're much better in the United States, but in the United States, we still have to take an event like a Democratic or Republican convention. We have to do everything we can on security, and we have to red team the security plan. So we have to get a group of people whose mission success requires that they figure out a way to poke holes in it. Yeah. And that's the way you beat them.
Mustafa, I just can't imagine what the people of France are going through. They just went through a huge soccer tournament they hosted with incredibly tight security, no events. They had to have been breathing a sigh of relief, and then this last night. It just points to it's the soft targets that are so easy to exploit and so impossible to protect, right?
Well, we live in a very open society, and we have incredible amount of soft targets everywhere, whether it's a shopping mall or a sporting event or even these conventions. And so long term, we have to change this, how we approach fighting this. We no longer can afford to just fight it on boots on the ground, because we're actually winning in Iraq and Syria. Where we're losing is the cyber battle. We're not battling on the idea side, and so ISIS is dominating this, and we've got to really change that.
I suppose you don't know how we could answer or win that battle, General Clark, or do you?
So I think, for us to win that battle, we've got to work more closely with our allies. So we've done a really good job in this country in terms of assimilating, making people feel welcome, and making sure that Muslim Americans are Americans first, and I think they are. But Europe hasn't done that good a job, and we know that when we exchange intelligence information with some of our European allies, they don't process it the same way we do. Maybe they prioritize it lower, maybe they don't have the resources. So I think what happened in Nice is another indicator that Europe needs to upgrade its efforts comparable to the way we did after 9/11.
Mustafa, I was reading your notes where you cite that statistic that we've all heard, that there may be 100 to 200,000 fighters around the world who consider themselves extremists of an extremist ideology and are ready to defend that ideology. How many would you estimate are in the United States, especially when you consider these lone wolves, these rogues now, who don't identify ahead of time with the ideology? And how do you protect against that? You just can't, right?
That's the real threat, right? Because there are people that are being inspired by ISIS in the United States and around the world, and that's the real major threat, especially for us here in the United States. In France, for example, you can get in a car in Syria and drive your way to France, but in the U.S., we are separated by water, so you have to get on an airplane. We have very strong no-fly lists, and so we're fairly strong in terms of protecting ourselves. But in this inspirational aspect, that's where all of us are vulnerable. And for that, we really have to start challenging ISIS narrative online. We have to make sure that people understand that they're giving mass carnage in the Muslim world.
General Clark, before we go, we do have the GOP and Democratic conventions coming up. Any additional precautions here that need to be taken?
Well, it's hard for us on the outside to know, and we wouldn't want to know that. And if I knew it, I wouldn't want to say it here on Bloomberg. But, everybody understands the significance of these events, and I'm confident that our intelligence agencies, local and state and national, are doing everything they can to assure we don't have a problem there.
We can only hope.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, thank you. General Clark, good to see you again. Mustafa, thank you for joining us as well today. Appreciate it.